Hey everybody, my name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast. Today is day 3 of my story of 1, getting out of a hole, 2, planning for the future, knowing that my plans aren't going to work out. Just going through the process of coming up with my core beliefs, the things that I believe are true, the things that I want to be true. And this is the important part. So we've decided we don't like where we're at. We decided we want to look to the future to get something that we haven't yet attained. So we're planning for the future. But then the question is, how do we do that? Like, I know one of our core beliefs in our family is that we're going to be a healthy family. How do I know what healthy is? How do I know, my parents, I think they did a pretty good job of giving us decent food and, some of those things. But some of the things I grew up believing based on the way what my parents believed from a health standpoint wasn't true. For instance, in the early 90s, there was a big kick on fat-free. And if something was fat-free, it was healthy. For instance, Twizzlers, licorice, was fat-free, so it's healthy. We had all these candies and cookies called Snackwell that were fat-free. Well, looking back, it was a terrible idea, absolutely terrible, because in order to make something good that was supposed to have fat in it, like ice cream should have fat in it. The fat makes it taste good, right? It makes it, having real whole milk makes it taste good. Well, they took the fat out. Well, what do you do when you take something out that tastes good to make the food that you want to eat taste better? You add sugar, and you add other things that just aren't natural. So we had all these foods just jam full of sugar, like Twizzlers, but it wasn't healthy. So I had to learn. So this episode is going to be about the process that I have gone through to learn what are the right things. And I don't want to make it super simple, but you need to obtain more information. And I think sometimes, we have this idea, you come through a normal education where you spend 12 years in, from kindergarten all the way through high school. You spend 12, 13 years learning the basic arithmetic and basic learning, and you see education as like a 4-year degree or a master's program that's another 2 years, and these big, long classes, 15 weeks. But what I've realized is that as an adult, especially if you can focus on one thing, you can get the information you need in a relatively quick manner. I'm getting ready to buy a new car, and I'm looking at a mid-sized truck. And within 2 hours, I figured out which truck I think I want. I went and, YouTube's an amazing resource. The internet's an amazing resource. Now you could just ask ChatGPT, hey, give me a list of the top 5 mid-sized trucks. There's only so many mid-sized trucks out there. It'll list all of them. Show me the prices. Show me the reliability ratings. And within an hour or two, it helped me narrow down to the 1 or 2 brands that I want to go figure out or go test drive. It saved me so much time, as opposed to I'm going to buy a mid-sized truck, and I've always bought Ford, so I'm going to go buy the Ford Ranger. The information is there, so use it. So I found within about 2 hours, you can get the general consensus of what the right thing is to do. Now, that doesn't tell you what you should do. It just has the general consensus. You have to start making up your mind. And then I found within 5 or 6 hours of research and study and reading, you can become more knowledgeable than about 50% of the population on that specific topic. And I think as adult learners, it's always one specific topic. We're usually learning about one thing. And so that takes, where normally it would take you, a 15-week semester to learn about biology in college, you could learn about, going back to the health analogy, why insulin works and why you need insulin in your body. You could learn that one detail, and that helps you think about the food you eat. And you could learn that in 5 or 6 hours. When I was younger, I would read a little bit. And then as I got older, in my 20s, I read a lot. I read a lot of books. And then I had kids. And then reading became a little bit more challenging. So now I listen to books. And in my Audible library, I've got hundreds of titles. And when I'm not listening to a podcast, which hopefully this is part of your daily routine, listen to my podcast and other podcasts. When I'm not listening to podcasts, I'm listening to books. And it really has changed my life. And when you are on this journey of self-improvement and trying to make yourself better, you need to get the right information. And I have compiled a list of books that you need to listen to or read. And I think it will, it can change your life. So these are the books. And I kind of broke it down into the order, at least initially. The first book I think you should read is called Extreme Ownership. It was written by a Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink. And it answers the question of why you should be doing this. Why should, it basically tells that if there's a problem in your life, it's because you did something, and if there's good things going on in your life, it's because you did something as well. Now, obviously we can't control everything, but the book is saying you should take responsibility for everything. If your health is failing, it could be bad genetics, right? If you got high blood pressure, it could just be, thanks mom, dad, you gave me your genes. But that doesn't mean you can't you just bury your head in the sand and say, yeah, I have high blood pressure. It's in my genetics. I'm going to have a stroke. There's things you can do. And Extreme Ownership really drives home that point. And that will take you 9 hours and 30 minutes to listen to. That's not a lot of time. That's a week, that's a week and a half, 7-8 days, driving back and forth to work 30 minutes a day, going 30 minutes, coming home. Atomic Habits, James Clear. This will teach you how to acquire the habits that will get you to where you want to go in the future. Because we've planned out our future, right? We already know I want to be debt free. I want to be healthy. I want to do all these things. Now we have to take actions to get there. And Atomic Habits is the best book I've read on developing habits, because it's not about that you're just too lazy. It's probably that the atmosphere, the environment you've created wasn't conducive to creating good habits. So it's a good book. That will take you 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours. You can pick the brain of the world's leading expert in creating habits. 5.5 hours. Think of what you waste 5.5 hours doing. I bet you in the course of maybe 2 or 3 months, you waste 5.5 hours waiting at red lights. Now, I'm not saying read books, every time every light comes up and, you're reading your phone, but you could be listening, right? We waste so much time. 5.5 hours could change your life. Now, depending on where you're struggling most, I would start there. And I broke this down into kind of 3 categories: your health, your finances, and your relationship. And that's where these books kind of come in order. So these next ones could be whatever order you want. But if you have not problems with your relationship necessarily, but if you want to improve your relationship, the book that has affected me a lot is The 5 Love Languages. And recently I was listening to a podcast, and there's actually some controversy on whether this was helpful or not. So maybe for some of you, this isn't helpful, but it does really, it shapes the way I treat my wife and my kids, because I know what fills them up. I know what makes them happy. And learning about the different love languages, I think, was super important. The next would be on the money side. There's kind of two books that I recommend, because The Total Money Makeover, Dave Ramsey, and there's a love-hate relationship with Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is super against debt for anything other than buying a house, and that's challenging to use in this world, right? We get into debt. Now you can do it. And if you listen to a show, there's people calling in on a daily basis that say, hey, I'm living a debt-free life. I don't have anything but my mortgage, and they're doing great. Despite that, whether you totally agree with that or don't agree with it at all, his way of living by paying yourself first and all these principles are super important. The other one, and that would take you 7 hours and 50 minutes. So in 8 hours, you could have a masterclass on getting out of debt. The next one, this is the largest book in this list, and it took me summer, the year I ran my marathon, I listened to it. So and I do break up books. Sometimes I'm not listening to it straight in a row. This was a 21-hour book. It's called Money by Tony Robbins, and this taught you how to invest your money. So Dave Ramsey gets you out of debt. That encourages you to invest 15% of your take-home pay. This book tells you where to put that money. And I will give you a secret. I'll break it down. If you don't want the entire 21 hours, although I highly encourage you, because it gives you the mindset of why things work and maybe why you should avoid certain things like, day trading, why that is I'm not going to call it a sucker's game, because people do make money doing that, but your odds of beating the market, your odds of beating Wall Street are just slim because of the amount of information they have. Basically, invest in index funds, funds that are not managed by human beings, funds that invest into a big network like the S&P 500. Buy whatever, like for me, that's the Vanguard 500. That's the fund that invests in the S&P 500 in the account that I have for work. And the reason being is that they don't charge, the amount of fees they charge is the lowest. And the lowering of the fee, and in addition to being broadly invested in this S&P 500 or whatever the index is. And again, if you want to figure all this stuff out, read the book or listen, it pays off dividends in the future. It literally will make you more money than someone who's managing and buying the same funds because they're charging a higher fee to manage it. So those are the two money books: Total Money Makeover, 7 hours, 50 minutes, and Money by Tony Robbins. That's 21 hours. Now, health. If you have your health, you have all the other things. You can go try to make more money. You can do all these things. If you don't have your health, nothing else matters. You would give up all the money, all the time to be healthy. So this one is super important. And there's one that the book's called You, the Owner's Manual. And I really like this because it just breaks down how your body actually works. I have a health background. I went to college to be a paramedic. And so I have an understanding, but I realize there's a lot of people. Like if I said, right now, what organ produces insulin? If the answer doesn't pop in your head, it doesn't mean you're not going to be a healthy person. But that's something that I assume most people know, because in high school you would learn that stuff. But your pancreas produces insulin, and then your insulin is a key that unlocks the cell that lets the sugar go in. And if the insulin's not there to let the sugar go in, your sugar levels go high. If that goes high, you have all these other things. So by getting a general understanding for what makes you a healthy person, how your body works, it allows you to just make more educated choices. So that's the first one I recommend. And then depending on which way you want to go, if you want to get stronger, there's a book called Starting Strength with Mark Ripito. Now, I don't think I would read this one. This is a lifting book, and I think you need to look at the pictures to understand lifting. But basically, he talks about barbell exercises, how awesome they are, how safe they are, how progressive they are, and shows you how to do that. So I would buy this one. The other one is Built to Move by Kelly Starrett. He is a doctor of physical fitness or of physical therapy. And it's more mobility and just general moving, because those are both two really, really important things. And those are probably books to read because they have pictures, but they have routines to follow and things that you can do. And the Starting Strength is 16 hours, 30 minutes. It's a little longer. Built to Move, 8 hours and 30 minutes. The last two are just general, making you a better person. It's the How to Win Friends and Influence People at 7 hours and 15 minutes. And the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, 13 hours. That's a good place to start. And you don't have to start there. You might have your own books. You don't have to spend any money. You could just get online and Google something, get a few people's opinions. And when you're out there researching, there is a trap. Listening, reading, and researching is not doing. And sometimes some of us really enjoy this. We really enjoy gathering information, but that is not the point. I want you to do this. And I figured out that if you listen to all these books on Audible or whatever your audiobook of choice is, that's 93 hours. But what kind of psycho listens to books at 1x speed, right? I listen to about 1.25 speed. That'd be about 70 hours. 70 hours is an hour a day for 14 weeks to get all that information. But this is important. This is not doing. This is learning. And learning is a process. You have to implement. And that's why I started with the Extreme Ownership and Atomic Habits. It will allow you to implement these things. I want you to get out of your hole. I want you to make plans for the future. Now I want you to know how to get to the future. That's what all these books are. And there's so many more. But then you have to implement. You have to put these into place. You have to stop thinking about it, and you have to start doing it. You know the right things to do. You get through this information, you'll know it. You'll know where you want to go to, then you have to do that. What I realized is that in order for me to be successful and to implement, I need help, and I want to help you. Please reach out to me. I'm looking for guys to mentor. I'm looking to just to be able to talk about what I'm going through. My email is danny@dannydumas.com. Dumas is Dumas. I would love to help you. I would love to go on this journey with you to 20 years from now, be, sitting over a cup of coffee, talking about how awesome life has turned out because we've done these things. We've gotten ourselves out of a hole. We planned for the future. We figured out how to get to the future, and then we are here and we made it. And the future, and the road there was fun. The road there was interesting. The road there was exciting. The road there was challenging. We overcame that. I want to help. So please reach out. I would love to talk to you, have that conversation, just see where we can go. I think this is a community we're building. I'm starting to talk to more guys that are listening. And I just think that the guys that want to be better husbands, fathers, and leaders are truly going to be the people that make a difference in this world, in this country, and in their family. And I'm excited to go on that journey with you. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast, and I will talk to you later. Bye.